The only podcast.
Perfect sync. I'll make it sound like it in post. I'm your host, Danny Hatch. Your other host is Eli Levy. Welcome to the show, Eli.
Hello.
How's it been hanging, bro?
It's been good. How are you?
It's been pretty good. Went to a farmer's market, got a wonderful breakfast sandwich. Got kind of skeeved out by how people were not taking the social distancing guidelines that seriously at the farmer's market.
They were not taking it well.
You know, they put the arrows on the ground indicating which way you're supposed to walk, and they put them there for a reason. It's like, guys, why are we walking the wrong way? Follow the arrow. But everyone was wearing a mask, and I had a delicious breakfast sandwich, so who am I to complain? How was your Labor Day, Eli?
It was good. I just kind of went about town. Was outside
Scooted around, I hear.
Yeah, I got an electric scooter and I've been scooting around.
Look at you, just bopping all over town.
Sweet.
Does it have a basket on it to carry stuff?
No, I need to get one. I need a bike lock too. I'm not sure how.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna protect
definitely.
it.
Well, you can you bring it in? Do you bring it inside? I would imagine.
If I'm getting like takeout, sure, but like a sit down place, unless I'm sitting outside.
Sure.
Which I'm usually sitting outside right now.
And it's one of those scooters that people are used to now, just seeing lying all over the place.
I see them everywhere now.
So like someone could just walk by it and be like, "Oh, great, I'll rent this one," not knowing that it belongs to Eli.
Well, I haven't seen the rented ones because I think those can't be used because of COVID.
Oh, sure.
But I see a lot of people like having their own now.
Nice. And I wanted to, I wanted to get an update, of course, on the Marin book. And then I hear you've added a new book to the bathroom library. You've bumped Jim Carrey down a peg.
Yeah, Jim Carrey's not in the bathroom yet.
Not even in the bathroom.
I was saving him, but as soon as I saw this next book, I was like, this is going right there because I'm almost done with Marin.
So where are you with Marin?
We're still in the success chapter, which I think is the final chapter, but we're in like the SNL part of the success chapter. It's like every person who's made it to SNL like back to back to back. To like Will Forte and like Jason Sudeikis.
Do they all talk about what a great guy Lorne is?
They just talk about like being scared. And then like that final call where like I did it and then crying.
It seems like, it raises your profile certainly considerably, but it just seems like a miserable job to work on SNL. You got you work till like 4 a.m, all week long. Then you got the live show. And then you get to like party with celebrities. Sure, that's fun. But then you just start it all over again the next week. No, thank you.
No, thank you? You said no thank you to Lorne Michael?
I turned Lorne down. I said, Lorne...
He's
I
like,
need
but
a more flexible schedule.
He's like, but Danny, we gotta have you.
Can it be every other Saturday Night Live? And he said, no.
He's like, we want a podcast, but you have the only podcast.
Yes, and I said, I'll never relinquish that. You can pry this podcast from my cold, dead earbuds.
How is it that much different than what you're doing now?
You've not been introduced yet. I don't know who this ghost is who's talking. So what's the new book that you've got, Eli, real quick? Because someone's champing at the bit to talk, and he took his headphones off. Well,
it's just a question.
What's the new book, Eli?
The new book is Leon's book from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Right.
He has a whole he has a whole book on how to live life and life lessons.
It's a guide to Leon's guide to life.
The reviews on the back are all reviews from Albert Einstein on how good the book is. Like
fun.
William Shakespeare, Plato says the book's great, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and that's how you know the book is really good. I do like when people do that. There's a U2 tour poster, and one of the quotes on it was, "The guitar playing was magnificent," and then the quote was attributed to The Edge. That was cute. So you're gonna read this one next. This is gonna be your new shit partner. Apologies to Mr. Carey, but you've been bumped. Folks, our first special guest. He is the author of the book, How to Start a Comedy Club That is Secretly a Front for Having All-Night Orgies Every Night. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Rick Jenkins.
So my question was, how is it that much different than what you're doing now? I mean, as soon as you finish Sunday night show, you're already thinking about the podcast on Tuesday and the show on Friday, and
Well, I don't have to perform in those shows.
But I mean, if you're a writer, you don't have to either.
Yeah, but I don't have
Well,
to
Jason Sudeikis was a writer who became a performer. I just found out through the book.
I guess
a lot do, yeah.
You are the one, Rick, who is giving it his all on these shows, turning around, cranking them out one after the other. Do you feel like you're doing the SNL circuit?
No, I mean, because I enjoy it, and I don't have another boss. But I always find it interesting. What's his name? Hank Azaris. Was saying that he absolutely hated Saturday Night Live and hates Lorne Michaels. No, it was Harry Shearer, because Harry Shearer was actually the kid on the old Jack Benny show, way, way, way back, and he was saying, hey, on that show, we were live once a week, same as SNL, and everybody got to work at 10 in the morning and left at 5, and it's just a matter of organization, and that the reason Saturday Night Live is such a nightmare to work for is that Lorne Michaels leaves everything confused and messed up so that he can be the savior stepping in at the end and saying, oh, don't worry, I got it. This is what we're going to do.
Does not sound like a pleasant working environment.
Maybe, but it also seems to create a lot of careers.
Sure.
Yeah, Mike Myers says he's got PTSD from working there.
I can see that. He's been pretty not in the limelight recently, which I miss him. I miss Mike Myers.
That's true. We talked about this on the last episode.
Yeah.
Because Tommy Maitland's the only thing he's got going on now. I would love to see him do more dramatic work, like in Inglourious Bastards. You ever seen that movie, Rick?
No.
You'd hate it. You might like it. It's all about movies, the power of cinema. You know, they market it as watch Brad Pitt fucking hit Nazis in the face with a baseball bat, but that's really only like 30-40% of the movie. There's a lot of, it's about cinema. So, hey, fellas, guess what today is?
What's today?
Today is September 8th,
Okay.
2 days after our, and are you catching on yet? What I could be talking about?
Comedy.
2-year anniversary of opening the club.
Oh, right.
You're like a Facebook post.
We've been in business. Yeah, reminding you of the good times, the bad times, who's to say? We've been in business at this new place for 2 years now.
No, lots happened in that time.
Well,
we are.
Okay. That's a good point.
With the amount that we're working, I would hope that we are. Otherwise, someone needs to fill me in.
What I should say is, we've been in our current iteration has had its doors open now. Well, no, that doesn't work either.
I mean, I can open the door whenever.
What are we even celebrating?
We've had the keys. We've had the keys to a door.
Yeah. 2 years since we put on that first show at Bow Market with the door on the stage. How's it feel, Rick? Do you feel like your life has never been better?
No, I just, it's thawing out. There's just so much has happened, especially that first year, that it's just, I think I've been just absolutely stunned. And now some of those feelings and thoughts are starting to thaw. And you go, yeah, what happened? Like when Eli mentioned his scooter, at my wife's house, there was been a Metropolitan scooter for years and years, and that was always my project, was to get that fixed. And all it needs now is a spark plug and some fresh gas, and it's all set to go.
Oh, one of those gas-powered ones.
So I'm not going to get that, which means as soon as Eli brings it up, I go like, oh shit, yeah.
Oh jeez. Well, I brought it up.
Are there any other things in that garage that I should not bring up?
Yeah.
Bicycles, is that a touchy one, or what about?
No, bicycles. My brother died and left me his bicycle, so I've got that.
So that one's good.
It doesn't have any negative associations.
No,
Good.
No, I'm fine.
How are you though? These last 2 years. Describe them, and in one word, how would you describe the last 2 years for Rick Jenkins? That's about what I'd say. Stunning. A lot of lessons learned.
Yeah, all the possibilities and all the good and bad that goes with that. It's just been stunning.
And what do you anticipate the next 2 years looking like?
I hope we just sort of settle down.
Yeah.
I'm very good at being able to say, okay, this is what we've got to work with, and here's what we're going to do. But I'm not so good at all of a sudden stuff flying at me from all different directions, and that's what we've had this year.
Yeah, that's why you couldn't cut it in the porn biz.
That stuff flying at me, yeah.
That's a specific type of. That's one specific genre in there.
Sure, that's true. There's also
It can just be One Direction.
One Direction.
Yeah.
And one specific thing.
But basically, so yeah, I mean, you guys basically, the last 2 years haven't really been that upheaval. I mean, you've changed your physical location from Cambridge to Baltimore.
Yeah, there's
And Eli has a relationship, but in terms of huge life-changing moments, the past 2 years have been fairly stable.
I don't know if I
think a bunch of shit happened.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's been pretty stressful.
Oh yeah, no, it's stressful, but I mean, yeah.
And for a while, Rosa was gone, and she was in Bethesda.
That must have been stressful for you.
And I was in, that sucked. And that also happened to coincide with about the worst of the times.
Yeah.
In the new club.
Yeah. I mean, but that's why I used the word stunning, because I mean positive and negative. Yeah, it was stressful, but there was also,
stable.
Yeah, and great highs.
Yeah, what are some of the highs? We've obliquely danced around the lows. Let's get that.
I mean, Gary Goldman doing his his pre-special with us was definitely a huge high.
That was pretty cool.
Yep. Pete Holmes picking on Malia Obama in the club. Mark Norman just stopping in to do some time.
All the Christmas parties
stopping in, just to hang out.
The 2 Christmas parties we've hosted at our own club has been pretty sick.
Yeah. There's been no shortage of good stuff either.
Goat Boy came by the club, didn't even do stand up.
No, just hung out in the dressing room.
Danny,
it was really cool and mature of him, because I said, "Oh, come on, do just a couple minutes so I can say you played here." And he said, "You know what? I'm drunk, and if I go on stage, somebody's gonna go online and say, 'Oh, he was drunk on stage.' So I can't be public in this condition." Which obviously he wasn't that bad if you could phrase it like that. But,
sure.
I thought that was very interesting and impressive.
Now, not to say that you can't take them both at the same time, but I certainly don't associate Jim Brewer with alcohol. I associate him with God's green herb. So he must have really been flying that night.
Could be a low tolerance.
I mean, he had 2 beers at the studio.
So maybe he's not a heavy drinker.
Yeah, he did drink them pretty quick. But yeah, he was saying it was just alcohol. That he said, I've had 2 beers really, really fast, and I don't want to.
Hey, if it doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel right.
Stage.
Sure, no harm, no foul. Stephen Wright dropped by, also did not do any time.
That was great, not recognizing him at first and then recognizing him.
Yeah,
an older
Jonathan
man.
Katz, Eugene, Eugene was like hanging out at the bar. Eugene Merman hanging out at the bar like once a week or so.
Yeah, a lot of men, turns out.
What do we have?
I mean, having a bunch of our new headliner shows that we did were also pretty cool. Like Dialogue Manarian pretty much sold out when she did hers, and then the multiple
Not even local. Well, I guess she used to live in Cambridge. But...
She's San Francisco now, but
right. But so that's impressive. She doesn't even have a local fan base.
You might disagree, but the Progressive Comedy Tour, it did sell out, and
Jill Stein came by.
Wouldn't disagree about that. Yes, Jill Stein. I called her Jill Green in the last
very
episode.
Interesting interaction, I'll say.
Yeah, no, that was a wild show.
She tried to get in 5 extra guests.
She did try to get in 5 extra guests. That's true. And maybe I should have had more of a backbone and said, maybe try a recount, Jill. Remember that when she was doing the whole recount thing? But I didn't. I just said, fine, come in.
And despite the horrors of running an open mic, still fun running Comedy Hell.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that's one of the things I don't miss, to be honest.
I figured you would have disagreed with me on that one.
Look, it's a healthy. All 3 of us have different perspectives, and that's nice.
What about you hosting Comedy Hell?
Yeah.
That was pretty bad, I'd say.
I don't know. The email responses we got were pretty worth it.
Oh, that's true. We got a woman who we're not going to name, but we are going to say is apparently a COVID denier. Who she's a comedian, and she didn't know who I was, and she saw me hosting the open mic, and it offended her that she wasn't hosting the open mic. Who is this asshole up there taking his pants off for a bit?
No, I mean, the legitimate question was, here's someone who was hosting the open mic who doesn't have a lot of stand-up experience.
Wow.
There were a lot of people who have had more stand-up experience. How come he was hosting and they weren't?
Because they didn't fucking ask. They weren't around. Like,
there were many good reasons that.
were we supposed to beg everyone, please host our open mic for 4 hours?
There does seem to be.
That is how I ask people to host the open mic, but
yeah, I have a pattern.
Yeah,
sure.
Something I've noticed that you have this pattern of, like with the karaoke, the hosting, the
You're
podcast.
about to hurt my feelings.
No. It's just you have a tendency to say, "Well, I'd really like to do that. Let me try that," without thinking through. Do you really want to stick with it?
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah.
the willingness to give things a try is an admirable trait.
Well,
like then you feel responsible. Like, oh, now I did it. Now I have to.
Right. Well, the karaoke. The karaoke, I grew to really hate. I hated it when nobody came, and I really hated it when people came.
Yeah, you were very stressed out when we did the Sean Carter crossover.
Yeah.
I will say I felt bad how stressed it made you, but I did think it turned out to be fun.
That was funny. So what Eli's talking about is it was Sean Carter, who now is a Tennessee boy, bought a house in Tennessee, but he used to host the open mic at Sally O'Brien's Monday nights, which is right next door basically to the club. And it was his last time hosting the open mic, right, Eli? He was about to pass it off to, I think, Sean Rosa?
Scott Otto.
Or Scott Otto?
Scott Otto.
Excuse me. You know, they're so alike.
Scotto.
How could you blame me? So it was his last time hosting this open mic, and it was a big celebration, and a ton of people had come, and they ran out of time. And Eli said, "I know the perfect place. We'll do a hybrid karaoke / open mic experience."
Yeah.
And
it was way less organized than that statement, but yeah.
Yes, and
admittedly.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was great. We have our own place. We can do stuff like that.
Right, but it was stressful.
I feel so
And
bad about
a lot
that.
of comics were being very rude to me.
Really?
Well, we do more karaoke songs. When is my turn to go up? Fuck you. One person was complaining about the lights to me.
Too colorful or not colorful enough?
I think not colorful enough, so I just turned them off because I was in a bad mood.
Yeah, fuck them.
She performed in the dark.
I will say a highlight was when I think it was a different karaoke night when you let me pick your song for you, and I picked "I Touch Myself" by the Divinals.
Oh, yeah. And I didn't know it.
You had a great rendition of it, I'll tell you that.
Thank you very much. So to answer Rick's question, I have a problem where I'm a narcissist, but I don't have a lot of self-esteem, and so I'll be like, yeah, sure, I can do this, and then continuing to do it requires me to dig deeper into my well of self-esteem than I think has water in there.
As a therapist,
So your ego is, oh, I can do anything, and then your self-esteem goes like, whoa, we can't do that.
Yeah.
Has a therapist ever been like, this is insane? You have narcissism, but no self-esteem. I've never seen this before.
What? No,
Not a therapist, but people certainly have remarked upon that to me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a huge part of narcissism. There is the other side of it.
I have the kind of narcissism where I'm sure everyone's talking about me, but it's about how much they hate me. You know? And
That's still the world is still centered around you.
Right. But it's centered around how displeased it is with me.
Yeah, like
at
anyone
all
cares.
times. Right. No one cares. No one cares.
Yeah.
Well, some people might care. Come on. You never know.
Rosa, yeah.
Oh, God willing. But this podcast, has been nice. This format of it, doing it over Zoom, there are some, of course, technical limitations and some frustrating moments, of course, due to the nature of the thing. But I like not having to be with people when I do it, and I think I've expressed that before. I feel especially like, I'm like burdening people, but now they're just sitting in front of their computer. It's no burden at all. So, viva la podcast!
Hey.
We've been doing this for almost 30 episodes, by the way. The podcast like this.
You'd think Eli would have finished that book.
Oh, if I had been reading it during the podcast, I'd be done by now.
Yeah, he only reads it when he takes big fat monster dumps.
But maybe I should start podcasting only when I'm on the toilet.
Yeah, that's got to be a genre. Rick, how do you like? You're a regular podcaster now, Rick. How's that feel? A medium I'm sure you thought you'd never tackle. I know you worked in radio, but this is different. This is much more.
Yeah, exactly. I'm still feeling my way with the podcast. I'm still feeling my way a little bit because I do go back to that radio upbringing of, you got to fill every second with sound and get to the point and where's the laugh and hit your time to get out to the next thing. And podcasting is just not. It's just a different discipline.
What's the discipline?
Podcasting, I think, is more intimate and it's more descriptive and it's more detailed. Whereas I'm used to I'm a little bit more used to being like Jay Leno on the Tonight Show, as the guest is really there to provide a focus so that you can get the laughter out, you can get the joke out, you can get to the point really quick. Whereas podcast, I think, is more about developing the point and understanding the bigger picture.
Is there only one kind of podcasting?
Yeah, this one.
Fair enough. Stupid question.
No, Rick, it seems like I cut you off.
No, not at all.
Oh. Well, Eli, how do you feel now? You've been a regular podcaster now for nigh on 60 episodes or so.
To be honest with you, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I think that's okay.
None of us do. Do you feel like it helps you flex your comedic muscles at all?
Yeah. I mean, I just unconsciously try to do that in any conversation, which is probably not healthy, but I'm just going with the flow.
Yeah, we're teaching the classes now, and
yes, it's
been really strange that like a bunch of stuff that I think it's just thoughts I've had forever, and they're no big deal. Or people are like, "Oh my God, that's a great point." One exercise you might try is just start thinking about which podcasts you really like, and then start thinking about why you like them, and that will start bringing you into your own style.
Who are you talking to?
Everybody. Well, you are a veteran podcaster.
Yeah, don't you ever fucking tell me how to podcast, motherfucker.
You as long as it's
I'll
not
eat your
live,
brain
you
for
are
breakfast.
great.
I've done some live podcasts.
You just said you don't like them.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean I'm not great at them.
Okay.
You mentioned the class. We started our virtual level 1 stand-up classes. You're teaching one. Kathy Ferris is teaching one. You taught your first lesson. How'd it go?
We are actually we changed a little bit. We're co-teaching.
Oh.
Yeah, we play off each other very, very well because she's much more disciplined and focused in syllabus and here's step by step, and I'm much better at filling in with a good example of that is this, and so we taught the first one Saturday, and then we started another whole class tomorrow.
And so you'll be co-teaching that one as well.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, how'd it go?
Yeah, we're very, very well. We have a woman I had met at the Montreal Comedy Festival from Vancouver.
Wow.
Worked for a filmmaking school, and just always wanted to try stand-up. She goes to the festival and stuff with her short films and all, and saw my name on the website and took the class. So it's like a really good. Another guy started doing comedy 15 years ago in Louisiana, quit doing it, and now is taking the class to kind of get back into it. And he's a computer software developer. So people coming at from really different, interesting perspectives.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
What are you getting out of it?
You know what? Honestly, I think it helps my self-esteem a little bit. We've been taking a lot of hits, and I personally have been taking a lot of hits this past year. And to have people actually listening, saying, "Oh wow, that's really interesting. That's good. That's valuable."
You hear that, Eli? He wants us to say that to him more.
Yeah, it gets me that little feeling of like, yeah, I'm not so bad. Okay, yeah, that is a good point.
I mean,
That's really interesting.
What a
valuable thing for you to say. Thank you for saying that.
I think for your self-esteem, you should just take more pride in your business.
Well, yeah, but not but. I'm also working very much on trying to replace the word but with the word and, so that I'm not always doing a negative.
Yeah, I always say to my girl, "Nice and."
Yes.
More of an and man than a pressed man.
That's been a big part of it. There's been so many knocks and so many bumps in the road and everything that sometimes it's difficult to not focus on the problems and see. I've been spending probably the last 6 months inventorying, all I've lost, all that's happened, and now it's time to sort of stop and go like, all right, well, what have I got? There's an awful lot here there's a lot to build, rather than just going like, well, don't have a scooter.
No, you don't. And maybe Eli would take you around for rides on his one day if you asked him nicely enough.
I got a helmet.
I also have a helmet.
I'll say that you seem to be handling things well, Rick, as well as one could be.
Thank you.
No, I was telling you to say that to me.
Oh, okay. You fled the scene.
I did. I was stuck around for a good long while, and was by myself for a while, which I know so were you, and longer than I was.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I mean, Danny, I think you made an important decision to make to keep yourself happy.
Oh, I did, yes, and it was. We did not come off. I did not come up. Did not come easily to me. But boy, did it suck that first month. It really sucked. So Rosa moved a year ago, almost exactly a year ago. She moved to Bethesda for work, and so for a while I was doing the thing where I would fly out Friday nights and get back in late Monday because we were closed Mondays, and that was no fun. And then the pandemic, we were apart for like a straight month and a half or so. So it was really a no-brainer to come with her, once her work called her back. But it was tough. The logistics of it were tricky. Certainly getting our cat up here, I know I've talked about, or down here rather, was tough and intimidating.
Well, and just thinking in terms of the job.
And in terms of the job. Right. Yeah. Well, right now it can be done remotely. Which
it's fortunate that you were able to split it that way.
Yeah. You sound jealous of me.
No, I'm doing it all from my little apartment.
I mean, just from recently getting a girlfriend, I'm starting to realize how, managing my time is going to be a lot more important,
Mm-hmm.
Can't just, there's not just two things. It's either working or hanging out. It's now spend time with and I love spending time with my girlfriend, but, I got to make sure I do enough, because I also want to, hang out with my friends too. I want to hang out with my girlfriend, I want to hang out with my friends, I want to do work, I want to do this, do that. Managing time is stressful. Yeah,
and my advice to you is, start, either getting things done. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different organization plans and all that. But start working on one of those, because you have a double whammy of your schedule is very not 9 to 5. Your schedule is kind of all over the place. And
we have a very loose work structure right now.
Yeah, and so is hers. Where, she's working nights this weekend, or she's got to work the weekend or whatever.
Oh, she's back to school, but yeah.
Yeah, setting time aside,
yeah.
Figuring out where your priorities are is really difficult, because it's never as easy as, work is more important or work is less important. It's, this shift I've got to do, so honey, can you not do that? It's a lot of gray area.
Yeah, I know. But so far it's working out just fine, but I know it is going to be an important thing to manage.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think it's going to be the big thing. It's gonna
and maybe we'll just close.
Yeah, you think,
then you'll have all the time in the world.
I think it's going to be the big things she wants me to go to her father's house, and I want to go to this convention.
Luckily, that specific one won't be much of an issue.
That's
since
true.
But all of her family is in Russia and Europe right now.
Yeah. Well, and that's also something I'll bring up. Danny was, you were joking, we could just close or something.
Mm-hmm.
We had the shows have been going so great, the online shows, and Sunday especially. We left the Zoom room afterwards, and there were about half dozen of us or so just hanging out talking. And your partner Rosa is a scientist, a PhD over at the NIH, and Nikki Longwell is a PhD working with a pharmaceutical company. And they were saying how, you know what, I don't think this is going to be over for it's going to be 3 years or so. And
so it's all back to normal.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I understand. That's, we're all just having a conversation with it. But in my mind, I'm also going that's my entire life. You're literally saying, Rick, you should stop existing. Because that's not possible anymore.
It's not your entire life.
I mean that I gotta say, I think it's important to not make the business your entire life. You should. I mean, you have
second wind.
Go enjoy life.
That would have been fine 30 years ago.
All right, let's put a pin in this real quick. I want to continue this.
Has sailed.
But our guest isn't. Our second.
It
guest
only
isn't
sails when you say it sailed.
And we'll get her take on it. Ladies and gentlemen, our second guest coming to the show. She's the host of a new podcast, The Gimme. Please welcome to the show, Kathleen DeMarle.
Hey, Kathleen, what's up?
What's going on, guys?
Host of The Gimme. Well, I hate to bring you in like this, but we're trying to boost Rick's spirits because he thinks his whole life is over. No, you don't get to leave now, Rick.
I want to leave because I've got to shut the window because the guy is doing.
All right.
The window guy's getting depressed.
Then I'll fill Kathleen in while Rick goes
What's
away.
going on?
Rick is just worried that if this thing goes on for too much longer, that's his whole life. And we're telling Rick, you've got so much more going for you than.
Oh wait, if the coronavirus goes on for much longer?
Yeah,
for like 2-3 more years.
Basically, the business.
4 years.
That's what some of the doctors we know think could happen. I'm inclined to say maybe not, but also one of the doctors I'm talking about is Rosa, and she did call this one pretty early on.
Well, I guess
I gotta give her props in that department.
I guess my theory is that I would hope there would be a way to like put people in bubbles or something in the next year if it's really going to last that long.
Oh God, bubble living. You mean like those ones that you
bubble
get
comedy?
The bubbles that you get for like parties that you just shove yourself into and people push you down a hill?
Sumo wrestling?
Yeah, that's fine.
I just think that there are going to be like options for socially distanced indoor shows, hopefully.
I feel like the problems that COVID, like what the specific, like how you catch it and everything like that is there. It's getting more and more specific. So innovators are going to be able to like create new technologies that tackle each one of those specific things to like make it safer to exist. But it is going to
ventilation is going to be huge.
Yeah, but
they're going to have to. There's too much money involved. They're going to figure out how that they can ventilate safely these huge office buildings.
Yeah.
And once you've got ventilation and fresh air and being able to filter that stuff out, then it's just a matter of telling all the little bars and restaurants you're going to have to spend $10,000, like they did with sprinkler systems. It's going to cost you $10,000, but we're not going to let you open unless you do this.
It is going to be important to like differentiate between like essential upgrades and like companies just telling you that they're safer, like bullshitting. Like I just saw a article in the Boston Globe that caterers are telling like offices that are letting their employees back that, hey, you should hire catering companies like us because it's safer for us to provide your employees meals than for them to go out and like get takeout or yeah. I mean, like, that could be true, but also, they're also like, hire us.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of industries struggling. I think that the comedy world's very similar to what I do for my day job, which is like event planning and meetings and stuff like that. And if that industry and the hospitality industry collapses, then it's going to just be like a domino effect. And so I think there's enough people out there trying to come up with solutions to indoor meetings. So I feel like that would like trickle down. Mm-hmm. I hate using that term, but like down to like comedy clubs and stuff.
Yeah, I know someone with the people you don't think of PSAV. They do all the audio video for all the conventions and all the meetings and everything. When you have something at the West End and you need a PowerPoint presentation or something. And when this first happened, they actually brought on more people thinking, oh, now everyone's going to be doing it electronically remotely. But that has not happened at all.
No.
And they've actually had to reduce staff further than what they would have.
Yeah, I have a coworker of mine whose husband worked for PSAV and he lost his job because he was in charge of like rigging or something. And they're like, yeah, we don't do meetings with rigging anymore. Like you're out.
You work in event planning and comedy. You've been double affected.
Affected.
How's your quarantine been? I guess we can't call it a quarantine anymore because it's been so long. But how has your whole experience since March been?
I mean, it's been a lot of ups and downs. There were like times that I actually, right when quarantine started, I just assumed that Boston was going to get hit really badly. So I was planning to like move to Vermont full time with my parents.
Wow.
And then I was like, yeah, that's not a solution. I need to do something else. But it's been fine. I'm at this point just like under the assumption that I won't have a job until 2021.
You have a job now.
I'm technically furloughed.
Oh shit.
But my hotel that I work at reopened, but it's like a shoestring staff. Like they only, and I'm in the sales department, so there's no events happening, so I can't sell events to anybody.
Are they one of the hotels that are like basically acting as dorms for students?
No.
Because the W's doing that.
So the hotel that I'm working at didn't take on any of that. I don't think that it was. I think that we were in between management companies when all that stuff happened, but we're right near Emerson, so like there's a chance that maybe they'll get some like large classrooms.
Yeah, I was reading today, Emerson is one of the few schools. Emerson is actually sectioning off and segregating their students who have COVID. So like once you test positive, you go off to this hotel or this place to live.
I don't think that's going to work out.
I don't think they should have called anyone back to school, but
yeah, colleges are, they're looking. Northeastern said, okay, we're just gonna send you home and keep your money.
Yeah, that
Other
is such
schools
bullshit.
are saying we're gonna do it all online.
That's that's a lot to like.
Yeah, 12 students at Northeastern were caught partying because they're fucking 18 years old and they're away from home for the first time, and they're gonna make stupid decisions.
It's that they tested positive.
No,
they didn't. I read the
students.
They hadn't gotten tested yet. It was just that they were caught being together
At a social event.
At least that's what the Boston Globe article said.
Yeah.
I know the school that I went to, which was Purdue University out in Indiana, they've, I think, suspended like 40 students maybe up to this point. But you can't, like, if you're gonna, it's like leaving a child in a room with a bowl of candy and telling them they can't eat it. Like, it's like, you're gonna send all these people back to school around their friends who haven't seen each other or who haven't been, you're either gonna get severe cases of like freshmen with depression, or you're gonna get people that want to party.
Yeah, and to send them home and keep their tuition just feels like the new grift to me.
I think it would be. I don't blame the students for like partying because what do you think they're gonna do?
Well, then how do you enforce quarantine? How do you enforce
keep them
social
home?
distancing?
They go home.
It's really,
you don't.
I mean,
Send them home, but give them their money back.
No, I meant like you don't bring them in the city in the first place.
Yeah.
But it's such a hard decision. I will say, first of all, it is a difficult decision no matter who you are in this situation.
yeah.
Right, and not to let. Sorry, go ahead, Kathleen.
No, I was just gonna say that if this was me, the only thing that would motivate me from not partying is knowing that my parents had contributed to my education costs, and I probably would have gotten in a lot of trouble if I got booted out of a university.
Like 2 weeks after you got there.
I would have been in a lot of trouble. They would have been like, all right, well, you're getting a job then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't want to. I would not want to be one of those students because the discussion to have with my parents over that would suck so bad.
You could say it worked. They kicked out 12 students, and now the other 500-600 are saying, "Whoa, I'm not going to do that."
I don't think it's going to work.
I guess that is a way to like, make a public.
I mean, that is the strategy of making an example out of somebody, but I just don't think it's going to work. And I mean,
find out.
It's
got a whole semester ahead of us.
I'm going to say this, and this is really bad, but my freshman year of college, the first week on campus, some kid died from like drinking too much. And then I was just like, I'm not going to drink this year. So it worked.
Yeah.
Were they with like Goldschlager?
That's not so bad.
I don't know.
You didn't ask what this kid.
I don't know what this kid drank. I'm not sure.
Did you know that Bacardi 151 had to stop? Well, Bacardi had to stop making their 151 rum because a college kid died drinking it.
Is that real?
They stopped making it?
They had to stop making it, and that's why Gosling's now makes a 151 because they took over the market.
When was the? I feel like I've had Bacardi 151 in the last.
It was while I
couple
was still
years.
working at Blanchard, so a couple years ago.
You did work at. That's true.
Yeah.
You would know better. Interesting.
Hmm.
How's comedy been treating you, Kathleen? Virtual comedy. We love
What?
it. We hate it.
What is comedy?
Right. It's this. It's that. It's on the computer now.
Well, you're doing the backyard and the virtual, right?
Well,
Backyard shows. Risky.
I did a couple outdoor shows, which, were not super great. And the problem is that these people that I haven't socialized with in 6 months are all like coming out of the woodwork at these backyard shows. And you're like, I really still don't want to hear about your penis. Like, I still don't.
On stage or off?
Yeah.
Both.
Oh.
Like, I did a joke about going on a date, and then the comic after me just like had planned material and went up and was like, actually, let's find out who Kathleen went on a date with, and spent like, I'm like, dude, this is your one show
Yeah.
this month, and this is how you're gonna waste your time.
Jeez.
It is a little.
Gary Goldman, right?
No, it wasn't.
It was
Gary.
Brian Regan.
It's Brian Regan.
Wow.
He's known for these backyard shows getting real.
It's
blue.
kind of reassuring and comforting that that open mic comedy has not changed.
Well, is it comforting?
Kind of.
I mean,
I think we've
A
lost
sense
an
of
entire
normalcy.
I think we have to, Rick. I really do. I've talked to a lot of people who said that this may be the thing that makes them quit.
I think there's going to be a lot of that.
Is it? How do you feel about it? Are you gonna keep trucking? You put a lot of work in already.
Well, I've put in a lot of work. My problem is that the last 6 months being stuck inside, I've gotten harassed more than I was when I was at regular shows. So now I'm like, if I go back, I just have to start calling people out. But I'm gonna go back. I mean, I've already put in enough time. Like my theory is I've already put in the time. I can't give up now.
You're past the point of no return.
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean? Like you're getting harassed online?
Oh my God, you got it. Like, these comedians have nothing else to do. They're just
I
like,
know.
Who's a woman that's available for me to hit on? And then they're like,
Oh, God.
Kathleen's a nice lady.
And she has a podcast now. Shout out to the Gimme Podcast.
Right. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. That's.
I'm sorry that
there
you're
is-
going through that.
Yeah,
It's
and
terrible.
there's the double whammy of your act, and you do talk a lot about your personal life,
Right.
and so that gives someone without a lot of social skills the impression that means your social life is open.
Yeah, and I actually had that conversation with somebody recently where I said, look, I know I make a lot of jokes about this stuff, but it doesn't mean that it's like an open door for you to like jump in and make commentary. Like, if I hear a dude talk on stage about like having a hookup, I don't assume. I mean, I assume that it's actually true, and then I just don't say anything. I don't like heckle them or try to find out who it was.
Because you're a human being.
I'm just like a normal person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have
But-
standards. You're a good person. I'd
It's
say
fine.
better than normal.
But also, I think that at this point, I'm just like, I'm willing to put up with it. I think once we get out of it, we're going to see a lot of comics fall out. And actually, I'm kind of okay with that.
Sure. Cull of the week, right?
It sounds bad, but I think that there was a little bit too much of a pool of people that were in it for other reasons than wanting to do comedy. They were in it for like the social aspect or whatever, finding other people with similar interests. And it'll be good to see who's still interested after all of this.
I'm with you on that. I think we're going to see a lot of people that like weren't really contributing to the scene dropping out.
Yeah.
What do you think, Rick?
Yeah, and I think it goes even further than that. That's true of the generation now. That's why it's been really great to see Kathleen at a lot of the open mics. I go onto a different virtual open mic every night, and I'm starting to see who's there and who's actually working on stuff. Beyond that, I look at the generation that was coming in, the people who've been on 4 or 5 years, and a lot of them aren't doing the online stuff. They're not doing the outdoor shows. Maybe they're at home all the time with their notebooks, but I see a whole slew of people who are just like, well, now that comedy is that much tougher to do, it's just one more step beyond what they're willing to go.
I mean, I kind
Also
of.
in some. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, I kind of get it because I'm one of the people that has kind of dropped out. I haven't been going to any virtual mics. I haven't been going to any outdoor mics. Sort of. I mean, I'm producing the shows here, but that's just an excuse for me not to go to these virtual mics. I don't know if I'd be going to them if I wasn't doing this. I might, but like I've been doing some writing, but I'm kind of just right now I'm in the mindset of like, oh, I should like use this opportunity to like live some life and not just do comedy, which I don't think is unhealthy, but I get it.
No, it's the opposite of unhealthy. It's healthy.
Yeah, and I also think it comes in waves. Like there were months where I didn't write a single joke or do a virtual mic. And then eventually I think like in June, I was like, this is just what we're going to have to deal with.
Yeah.
And I ramped up, but now I'm ramping back down because I'm saying like, look, I've said I want to write a book. So this is the opportunity for me to like throw some words onto a page. So I should focus on that instead of virtual comedy.
What's the book about?
Oh, just the life of a horse girl.
Life of a horse girl. Is that what it's called?
No.
Okay.
Working title.
So it's a memoir.
Yeah,
Or
I
is
was
it
thinking of writing a funny memoir. Like Josh Gondelman, I think, has a memoir out, and a bunch of other people. And I was like, hey, look, if I could write, 30 short stories that are real life, maybe I could find somebody to publish them.
Yeah. Well, that's very exciting, and what a good goal. Are you're making progress on it?
I started, and then I stalled because I thought it was kind of shit.
Well,
But then I realized you gotta just like kind of throw it at the wall and then
clean
go
it
back
up later.
Yeah.
Are you one of these
Anyone can edit.
write drunk, edit sober people?
I have officially decided that I'm not drinking until after the election. So
Wow.
How's that been going?
Yeah.
just started
wild
on
time.
Saturday.
Oh,
Just
okay.
started.
It's just
Well,
started.
hey, I applaud your resolve. because
Congratulations.
Buckle in. I mean, a drink is going to really help steady some people in this wild
know,
time. So
I
good for
know.
you for.
I have not made that commitment yet.
So it's only been a few days. Have you found that it's helped your creative resolve at all?
Well, I haven't been drinking that much during
Sure.
quarantine anyway, because I tend to be one of those people who like socially, if I'm drinking, I'm a very fun person, but if I'm drinking alone, I'm just like, I start analyzing all the sad aspects of my life.
Tweeting song lyrics.
Yes, basically,
Yeah.
basically.
Sure. I've been there.
Yeah,
I
like
get
some
it.
punk bands from like the early 2000s or something. I don't know.
Get it.
Yeah, Green Day.
Yeah, like Green Day or like Death Cab for Cutie. I don't know. You know.
Oh yeah. I'll follow you into the dark. Absolutely. Throw it on Twitter. Well, hey, good for you. That's exciting. And you started a podcast.
Yeah, I started
First
a
of all,
podcast.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Second of all, how dare you?
Why?
This is the only podcast.
I don't have a podcast.
Thank you. You have an internet radio show.
Wow, you're
Yes,
good.
that you can stream on Apple Podcasts.
Yes, but that's just a technicality.
Yes.
The podcast is called The Gimme. You talk
Yeah.
about people. You talk with people about their childhood obsessions.
Yep.
What have you learned
Rick,
about
I'll get you on there one day.
Yeah. What a great premise. Where did you come up with the
It
premise?
is a good premise.
Because it sounds really bad because I'm on a podcast right now. But I feel like there are a lot of podcasts where people talk for like several hours with no direction.
Yes. That's true.
And which is fine.
Well,
You guys, I think it's fine because you're associated with like a venue and people want to hear from the
oh,
venue.
we have a tight theme we stick to every week, which is Danny.
Which is Danny's poop and Eli's book.
No, it's Eli's poop
Wait.
and Danny's life.
I'm in both of those. Thank you.
Yes.
Oh god.
We like to check in with the. First of all, thanks for listening to the show. Jeez, Kathleen. We like to check in with people. No, I'm just kidding. You left us a nice review on iTunes once, and that was nice. Eli, I like to check in with Eli. Eli likes to read books, but only when he's pooping. He's reading a book that's basically a transcription of a bunch of Mark Maron episodes.
It's how I
And
read books.
I like to check in with how it's going. I like to follow along. You know, see, he's been reading the same book this whole time. He's almost done with it.
1 to 2
It's
pages
called
at a time.
thematic cohesion.
I guess I'm concerned about the fact that either you're reading like 2 sentences every
no.
time you're on the toilet, or you're like bearing down for a long time.
No. 1 to 2 pages per session.
Very.
I at least finished the page.
And then he tears
Well,
it out
Mark-
and
Mark-
uses it as toilet
Mark
paper.
Maron's book works better because it's like in conversation. So like I'll just read 1 to 2 paragraphs, and it'll be like a completely different conversation.
You
So
could just like turn on a podcast.
Maybe the
and listen to like 1 to 2. Oh, the Gimme Podcast for 1 to 2 minutes at a time.
Maybe.
I listen to podcasts when I am in the shower because I have waterproof headphones.
Okay.
So tell us about this podcast. You decided
Yeah.
there's too much bullshit podcasts.
I mean, I guess that's not even the real reason. I have, as you know, as you brought up the last time I was on this podcast, I'm a horse girl, and people just would like come to me with what they were into as kids, just kind of out of the blue. So I kind of thought it would be fun to go in that direction and see if people were impacted to do comedy based on things they were obsessed with or whatever it may be. And I gotta say, some people are into really boring stuff.
Like
Is
what?
it necessarily as childhood?
No, I mean, I think I did an episode with John Ryman where we went over stuff that he was into in his like teens and early 20s. It'll branch out. I mean, it's hard when you ask somebody what they were into and they're like, well, I liked, these 10 things. And you're like, okay, well, I don't think any of these things are going to be good conversations. So like, I'm moving on to the next person.
What is it?
So
Wow.
I was gonna say. So the topic, the idea is more. It's more entertaining and interesting because of the passion involved,
Right.
rather than what this actual subject is.
Right. Like a lot of people have bad stories about things associated with their obsession, like bad concert experiences or I think Emily Raskowski talked about, handing down a doll to like her niece that was like a Boys to Men doll or something like that.
Wait, so do you have like a best and worst of the podcast so far? You don't have to name names, but like
I've only done 8 episodes, so chugging along.
Yeah, only the cream of the crop.
Yeah. Is it on a regular basis? Do you have a regular schedule?
Every Wednesday.
Great.
Every
That's
Wednesday.
the most important thing.
Yeah. I did get in a little bit of a pinch. I ran into my first situation where I had somebody cancel. So I'm actually recording tonight and editing tonight because I had a cancellation last week that really messed me up. But, you live and learn. You gotta book in advance.
Yeah. How much editing do you do?
I say a lot. So I gotta
Really?
edit those out.
Really?
editing takes a long fucking time.
What do you edit out? Like the ums and ahs or the?
Yeah, or I had a guest on who said like a lot.
Okay.
And so I
Wow.
had to edit some of those out.
You've got to let it just fly, You got to let people get the real, genuine experience. Some people say like
Well,
it, it's
some
fine.
I also had to take out some material because I realized that I would lose listenership.
Oh.
I was like really going in on shitting on a lot of country music on one episode, and then I realized that a lot of my friends are in Indiana and like country music and listen to the podcast.
But they're your friends.
That's great.
Yeah, but
Where do
like
their allegiances really lie?
they're more
Tim
like
McGraw.
We're choosing country
acquaintances
music.
Okay, sure.
who believe in QAnon theory.
Yeah.
That QAnon.
Yeah. It's
So I'm like,
QAnon.
I can't lose these people.
Sure,
I mean,
no,
I
that's
should
yeah.
should lose these people, but
Well,
But,
that
like,
happens
shout out
with
to country
stand-up
music.
or- Yeah, happens
You
with
could-
stand-up or with anything. You've got your fans, and you
Yeah.
love your fans, but one-on-one, some of them aren't the aren't
Yeah.
the best people.
Well, I mean,
You could
Jim
use your
Gaffigan's going
podcast,
through
not
that
to
right
tell you
now.
how to do it, but you could use it to subtly re-educate these dipshits about, QAnon is fucking insane.
That's the attitude that'll get them.
Well, I mean, isn't that exactly
I said
what?
subtly. We're not a subtle podcast, but maybe
It's like,
the
let's
is.
put a pin in this conversation about dinosaurs and talk about the real dinosaurs.
And then you look at the
Donald
camera,
Trump's
you're like,
policies.
yeah, I'm
Yes.
talking directly to you.
Yes, exactly. Well, you're in a safe space now if you want to shit on some country music, because I fucking hate it. So I'd love to hear your opinions on country music.
I just don't like country music,
It's so
and
bad.
it's not good.
No.
Actually, I think Alex Edelman put together a playlist of just like the worst country music songs.
I think
Sounds like him.
I generally, it's
Does
not my
sound like
genre, but I think there is some good and some bad, but it's usually the older stuff is the good stuff, like Dolly Parton. But like all the
That's
new
fair.
stuff is
Sure,
garbage.
Dolly Parton's a national treasure.
Exactly.
But, like,
I've been trying to get into it, listening to like old Willie Nelson and Hank Williams Jr. and that sort of stuff. Just
See, but
trying
like,
to force myself to understand it.
but Willie Nelson doesn't have a song called "Body Like a Back Road." So like he's more
There-
respectable.
There are three main themes in a modern day country song, and that's your truck,
uh-huh.
your girl, your dirt road, your beer, and Jesus.
Nothing
I know I
but
said
counts.
three, but they
Yeah.
can't count so well.
It's a meta commentary on.
No, I would
education.
say there's a possibility that that's elite Eastern stand-up comedy. Do you really know of any song like that?
yes.
Or is that just the stereotype we've drawn up for them?
I could.
Do we all know
No,
Johnny
I'm from
Zagrino's
Tennessee. I
joke?
could quote. I could
Yeah.
quote a song for you if you want.
Yeah, you're from Buffalo. Eli's from the real place. We all know Jenny Zagrino's joke.
Mhm.
And my truck is out of beer.
No,
Rosa will
there
sing that. Rosa will just go around the house.
there are some
singing.
songs that my friend Josh loves that are exactly. I'm sitting in my truck and I got my beer. I'm on this dirt road.
And
My
looks like a
dad-
woman.
My dad used to start singing this song, "I Want to Check You for Ticks," which was just like,
Something
That's
he made
Dad,
up.
good. I mean, that's
no,
important
it's
to
a
do.
real song. Like which is funny, comical to me because this year he got, it's not Lyme disease. He got another
Ooh.
tick-borne illness, and we thought he almost had COVID.
Wow. Is he like allergic to red meat? I hear that that's one of the side effects.
He claims that he's fine, but
Okay. Oh, that's
I-
scary. I'm glad he's okay. 'cause
Rick,
Lyme-
if
the ticks are
you-
no joke.
If you
So,
don't
this
believe
is
me,
good
Rick,
to check.
you should look up the song "The Boys Round Here."
Okay.
So, what is podcasting, Kathleen? What has it taught you about your own style of comedy? Have you learned? Are you writing more conversationally?
it has taught me that I prefer stand-up comedy.
Okay. It's an undertaking, a podcast.
Yeah, and I mean it flips it, especially my format where I'm mostly interviewing somebody else. I try to get in, a quip or a story that's relevant, but it doesn't always work out that way. And like I think it's taught me how to host better. Hopefully, after all of this, it'll have taught me that. But it's just a whole nother animal that I think is going to have to. There's so many people coming out with podcasts. It's going to be the thing that we're going to get over. There's already too many.
Yeah, we're already there.
But now everybody and their mother's doing it because there's no live comedy shows. So people have to find a creative outlet some other way.
Yep, and literally, Kathy Ferris is on a very funny one that just started. It is just her and 5 of her neighbors talking about what's happening around the neighborhood. Did you hear so-and-so's mailbox? The little flag was put down, which means someone was over for the night, and it's just
Got
called
it.
That's
Small Town
funny.
That's not a
Scuttlebutt,
bad
and
idea.
it's hysterical, and it's really interesting, and it's done, and it's totally serious. It's
Yeah.
not people coming up with jokes. It's just 6 middle-aged women talking about the neighborhood.
I mean,
Just to
shit,
peek
you could
into their
easily do
lives.
that for the different neighborhoods of Boston. I live in Alston.
Perryville.
An Alston podcast about Alston would not be that bad.
Is that what it's called? Oh no, it's
No.
called Small Town Scuttlebutt. Karenville would be a great.
Scuttlebutt.
Karenville would be a nice town.
Karen.
Yeah. Hey, that's a risky endeavor because who does that appeal to? You've got to have some good chemistry because otherwise.
What about it's a
your
podcast where you
audience
brag
base.
about the different name brand stores you've been kicked out of?
Oh, you're saying Karenville? That's
Yeah.
what it would be?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Oh, I didn't know what he was talking about.
That's not bad.
Another way to look at it is that podcast, because it's so cheap, with the kind of
Mhm.
business, the barrier to entry, about how difficult it is to get into something, that comes all the way back to stand-up comedy. I think now there used to be no barrier to entry at all you had to do was show up and put your name on a list.
Right.
And now you have to put some work into doing comedy, and will have to in the future. I think that's changing it, that right now podcast, anyone can do it, but if it's a little bit more difficult, how many people really have a program they want to do?
And I do have to say that I'm surprised by the number of people in comedy that I don't think have pivoted at all. Like, I think are still just hoping comedy comes back, or that they'll be able to, bounce back. And I mean, when I did my outdoor show, I felt like I was back to when I started. Like, it was the same material I've been doing for a long time, but it felt, I was nervous and it was hard to do the jokes. So I think people need to learn how to pivot. We can't all be stubborn and just hope for the best. Like, it's not, as we know, it's not going to happen.
Well, people are so
away.
People are in that mindset where it's like, oh, it's only going to be another 2 months.
Yeah, how could you still be in that mindset?
I mean,
I can understand feeling that way back in April. But...
Yeah, like in March, I think I didn't pursue a lot of stuff because I was like, oh, this is only going to be a couple months. We'll be back to shows in June. It's fine. And
well, I mean, I've been in the mindset too.
I was going to say, Eli, you do the bookings for our online shows.
Yes,
which I know Eli loves.
I do.
Eli loves that that's public.
I do work here.
Comics, do you get that sense that there's a lot just sitting on the sidelines thinking it's going to end soon, or some that say I'm not going to pivot?
I'll tell you right now, there's not nearly as many people emailing the booking account as there used to be, and I do encourage people to reach out because that's going to make my job a lot easier, actually.
I've had people that have said, like, I feel weird reaching out to the studio about bookings because they don't know they didn't know that that was like a thing still.
I mean, you can always ask a question. I guess I can understand people being like, "What's going on?"
Yeah.
I've been reaching out to some people, being like, "Hey, you can start sending avails again and stuff like that." But
and there was also that kind of like in the scene, there was that blow up where that one guy just assumed he was going to be given a spot. And so now people are like, oh, I don't want to assume that because I was booked there, I can get booked there again.
Wait, what was this?
Yeah, what was this?
Oh, man. You don't remember when Ollie Iconic posted?
Oh, but that wasn't
Jeremy
about...
Pearson.
Yes, I remember that. I thought you were talking about the studio.
Yeah.
No. And then people were like, oh, this makes me feel weird about asking places to get booked. I don't want them to think that they owe me shit, but also they owe me. And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
When you're talking about the studio being a comedy club, you feel the same way about Giggles or something.
Right.
Next Step Up. And there is some intimidation of, I don't want to tell the Next Step Up that I'm ready. They should tell me.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we're a business and we are virtually open. We're doing shows. So if you want some work, just
book me on everything where you don't have a woman. And
I'll tell you what, I'll do that if you book me on your podcast every time you don't have a guy.
Once you run out of dudes in Boston comedy,
it's very hard to run out of male comedians. They pop up. Once it's like
the woodwork.
You pull a weed and then two more come up.
You see one male comedian, there's a whole colony just lurking. In your floorboards.
Some of those acts that Eli, some of those acts we were booking on weekends.
Yeah,
I don't see around. People who are making a little bit of money here and there. The Sean Sullivans. There's a lot of people in that range that I think it's like, you know what? I'll spend the time with my family.
I mean, I've been having to get creative with who I reach out to because I'm just going through all of our contact lists. I'm going through I see who's doing podcasts, who's doing any sort of digital, like who's Twitch streaming. I'm like, oh, they might still be interested in doing.
Yeah, I'll tell you about it later because I'm still working out some details. But a really big name contacted me and said, "Hey, are these Zoom shows? Are they local? Can I get on it?"
Send them.
Yeah, of course.
Send them.
So, give us a treat.
Gary Goldman.
No, Gary Goldman.
No, well, Gary's someone I talked
Brian
to.
Regan.
Gary said, I'm too anxious about the idea of doing a Zoom show.
Totally get it.
Eugene Merman will do a Q&A but won't do a set. These are people who grew up with an audience in front of them, and not having an audience in front of them is just too anxiety, and they don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
That's why it's nice to be shitty at comedy for this kind of thing, because you're used to not having an audience in front
Easy
of you.
to pivot.
Exactly, just like Ross and Chandler, right? With
Feels
the couch.
like a gut punch.
Oh no, not to you. To what we were talking about with the three of us. You, of course, selling out arenas before this.
Big time arena. So I was actually supposed to open for Bert Kreischer. Let's get that rumor started.
But then, yes.
Well, I mean, we all know that
That's on my comedy goals list over here.
Wait, is this
Why
racist
Bert
Bert, or is
Kreischer?
this the Bert that fucks dogs and smells bad?
What?
Bert
on.
smells bad for sure.
You didn't know that Bert smells bad and fucks dogs?
What?
Yeah.
That's a new rumor that got started because there was a rumor that was started that he was a racist, and then people thought he actually was. So they had to pivot and start other rumors about
The
him.
new fucks dogs and smells bad is a Bert approved rumor. So he wants you to spread that one instead of spreading the
so
racism.
his version of damage control is to say, okay, let's get it out there that I fuck dogs.
So much
instead
better
of
than being
people thinking
racist.
I'm racist.
So much
Oh,
better
no,
than being
that's
racist.
true.
That's goal
So
number 9.
much
And
better.
that's goal number 9 of 10 on my long-term comedy goals checklist.
Would you read off all 10?
That would be
Sure.
such a treat.
Oh, that'd be great.
Sure.
Take notes, listeners, if it's good. I mean, if it's a bad checklist, then don't take notes. But
Okay. Oh God.
very
I'm
exciting.
writing these down. This is gonna be my goal in life. Is to
No,
get
these
all
are
the
not.
topics.
These are. I don't even know. I don't even know if these are. Some of these are embarrassing.
Dave, it's
All
making
right, let's
goals
see.
is part of this
Move to New York City in parentheses when it's safe post pandemic.
game. Yep.
Pass at the Comedy Cellar. So these are big goals.
These are big
guys.
goals, but you've
Nice.
already played arenas, so it should be
Yeah, but
piece of
passing
cake
at
for
the
you.
Comedy Cellar, you're not that far. You know, it's not just Seinfeld who drops in. They-
Yeah. Get my podcast picked up by a podcasting network. This was
Oh.
written at the beginning of August, so this was when I still really enjoyed podcasting.
Oh no, it's only been a month though.
Is there is there a parentheses of that? Quit podcasting immediately.
I spent that first half of this show complaining about how hard it is, but you just power through. It's fine. It gets better. It gets better.
Record an album.
Nice.
Perform
Do you have an album
at,
title already? Sorry to cut you off.
oh,
Do you have an album
Reformed Horse Girl.
Reformed Horse Girl. That's good.
Maybe.
RHG.
Horsing around.
Perform at the Wilbur, and
Mm.
then I said in parentheses, in any capacity, host, feature, or headline.
Sure.
I'm setting myself a low bar for that one.
Or like the funny ticket taker who shows people to their seats.
Yeah.
Tells them a
Yeah.
joke.
You know?
That was a good
Get a late night TV credit. In
Nice.
parentheses, I don't care which one.
Sure. Is there one you prefer though? Is there one that's like, what's the cream of the crop? You know?
I don't
Is it a
see the thing-
Corden? Is it a Seth?
I see. I think like the ones that I find Conan to be the most appealing of all the hosts right
Mhm.
now.
Mm-hmm.
But
I would agree.
Conan seems to be the big one right now.
I think
Yeah,
Conan.
there's a lot of talk that Conan's the only one that really has the prestige because
Yeah.
Conan's the only one that has one producer dedicated to just the stand-up comedy.
Right.
So Conan is the only one that somebody has to say, I believe in this person. I want to put this person on TV.
Yeah.
Whereas the others are done more by committee or this person owes that person a favor or that management company or whatever.
Yeah. I think Pryor, I would have said.
Oh, I love Richard Pryor. He has a show. He's
I
a
would have
late
said
night show.
Pryor. I would have said Colbert probably, but that would have been a while. I don't think his show's the best anymore.
Thank you. His show's not that great. Everyone's like, he's the best political comedian on late night. It's like,
I think Trevor Noah's doing a great job
yeah,
right now.
Trevor Noah's doing. I think Seth Meyers has a crack writing team.
Yeah.
Crack writing
John
team.
Oliver is my pick right now.
That's
Sure.
fair. That's
Sure.
fair.
Yeah, but
He's
that's
good.
yeah,
I don't
that's
like being
once a
yelled
week.
at.
So I don't know if it's fair to compare his once a week to everyone else's 5 days a week.
I mean, it's good quality, so it's.
Sure. Quality over quantity. That's always been Eli's. And speaking of quantity and quality, let's hear the rest of his list.
Write a book and get it published.
There
We
we go,
already
working on
talked about
that. Yeah,
that.
Working on that one, nice.
Go on the road as someone's feature. I'm not talking about. I'm like a good feature. And then I don't know why I have this one on here. Open
Okay.
for Bert the Machine Kreischer.
Okay.
It's a fun one. Bert seems like a cool guy.
So so why Bert? Just randomly chose him?
I think that he seems more reachable than, like, I feel like I could reach out to him. And also I know that he's had Taylor Tomlinson go on tour with him and open for him before. Also, to be fair, he's one of the only comedians that I don't think his stand-up is fantastic, but I think his podcasting's really good.
Oh, yeah.
And so I actively listen to a lot of his stuff, so I feel like I know him better than, like, say...
Brian Regan.
Sure.
Right. I like listening to Bert's podcast, too. I listen to, like, a lot of his podcasts. He's very interesting.
I listen to Two Bears, One Cave with him
and
Tom Segura.
Yeah.
That's the only podcast of his that I listen to. Mostly because they have really good banter between the two of them.
So funny.
And I just say to myself, like, I listen to that podcast, I'm like, oh, in like 10 years, this could be me and my
That's a dangerous trap to fall into,
long-term friend. But then I'm like, who did I start with that I would really want to do this with?
It's funny you say that because that podcast is where the rumor that he fucks dogs came from.
I know,
Smells
I
bad.
know.
That could be you. That could be you.
And this can just tell you, this last one will just tell you how much of a pessimist I am.
Okay.
It says, get JFL audition, in parentheses, hey, you might not get JFL. It's hard.
Well, you seem like a realist. You might not get it. Not you won't get it, but like you're preparing yourself for the possibility that you want. And plenty of people don't, and they go on to be very famous and successful.
Yeah, but also like JFL might not even be a thing for a long time.
Oh, that's what you meant.
Well, yeah, but
or to be fair, I'm just like, I might not be like different enough to even get an audition, you know?
I would say aim higher. You're very good, and
thanks, Brick.
I think not only should you aim higher, but add a couple like practical steps to each of them.
Fair.
You know, to say, I want to open for Bert Kreischer is nice, but to say I'm going to open for Bert Kreischer, so I'm going to email him once a month and say hi.
Yeah.
I'm going to,
Does that work?
I'm going to
Well, no,
find out who his management is.
I
and send him
did-
a package.
what you're doing is
think
important.
about sending
Something
his
actionable.
PO box something, because I know he does a PO box opening every month, but that's a good idea. Yeah.
I think what you're doing is important because it's a tried and true strategy of writing down your goals is an important step to achieving them. So
Yeah, and I think some of these
Half the battle.
are, some of these are more short term or easier to do than others. And I think if I hadn't put them down, then I would have felt less like, what am I doing long term?
yeah.
You know?
I think that's what the pandemic has done. Well, especially for me, is just all those goals, all those thoughts. It's like, okay, that those are all done. Can't do those.
Yeah. Yeah.
For now. I mean, in like November, we'll all be back to normal. I'm calling it.
Not according to
As
your partner.
as soon as
Does she know?
as soon
Look,
as
I
Biden's
think-
elected, it's all washed.
Yeah. We all know it's a dem hoax. Conspiracy.
I just keep referring to him as a palate cleanser president.
Yes.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a good way to put it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Like,
Well-
hopefully we just have a nice, boring president who just kind of like does the.
The pickled
Gets us
ginger.
back on track.
Pickled.
Election night, I was at a fancy party, and it was all liberals and all that sort of stuff. And one woman there, everyone was all over her because she admitted to voting for who was the third Sanders?
Gary
Oh, no,
Johnson.
No, she voted for Trump
Oh no.
because she was such a Sanders supporter. And
A
her
lot of people
thinking
did
was,
that.
Yeah, her thinking was, I'm voting for Trump because the system has to be brought down. Everything has to be burned down to the ground before we're going to start building everything up. And that's what's happening.
Right. Yeah, but fuck the people who got hurt or killed in the process of that system being burned down. As long as this person
Yeah.
can
Well-
get a government that she feels is
They did
Good.
say a lot of people that I don't know what the percentage was, but there were a fair amount of people who voted for Bernie that ended up voting for Trump.
well, sure, and I did, but that's because I read the bubbles wrong.
Yeah.
It's not
I
because I
read,
wanted to
yeah.
burn the government down.
Yeah, I'm reading the
Bubbles are small.
decline
User
and-
error.
Decline and fall of the
Yes,
Roman
user
Empire.
error.
Okay.
And the parallels are just unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's almost exactly that. It
What are
was,
some things you've noticed that
two
align?
generations, and it goes from the absolute height to the entire empire breaking up and falling apart. Part of it is that there's a lot of money around, And so different categories.
Is part of it people who've been doing a podcast for a year and a half don't put their phones on silent?
Oh my God, Danny!
What?
Well,
I'm asking a question.
That's actually our business manager, so I think I should take it.
Wait, I'm okay.
It's time to wrap up anyways.
Right.
Have a good time, guys.
Do you have a recommendation real quick?
Porter Square Books.
Okay. Porter Square
on.
Books.
Books are nice.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna mute Rick because he's on the phone. What a good place to wrap it up, I suppose.
You guys, what did you do to Rick?
He got a phone call. He had to leave.
I know.
Do you think you said a while ago that I'm too mean to Rick on the podcast?
I just don't know if it's that you're too mean to him or if maybe like
Oh, maybe he just muted us too.
he muted us. It's
No,
fine.
I'm not mean. I'm not too mean to him.
You're not mean.
No, I'm the
Never.
furthest thing from mean.
Sure.
I'm a sweet boy.
You're a pretty good person for the most part.
Pretty
For the
good.
most part.
Hey, check
I mean, I
that.
Know me
don't-
well enough for there
I
to
don't
be a
know you
most part.
well enough to
Yeah.
know.
I'd
For all
take it.
You know, I'm Gandhi.
I would take it. I would take it, Danny. Pretty good. So that's not bad.
Gandhi. Yeah, you're the Gandhi. You work at the comedy studio and you're Gandhi.
Yeah, the Gandhi Studio.
The Gandhi-
I'm trying to rename it, and it's gonna become a place of niceness. That's my goal. Kathleen, we like to wrap up these shows with everyone going around the horn, giving a comedy recommendation, something they enjoyed in the realm of comedy or Gandhi in the last however long, and also a local business that you'd like to give a shout out to who might be struggling during the pandemic.
Oh
What do you
boy.
got?
We're dropping comedy recommendations, and I should have known that this was going to come up.
You can stall. I'll go ahead while you.
All you
You
gotta do
go
is
ahead
pick your
first.
favorite male comedian's podcast.
No.
Well, it is ironic given what Eli just said, but I would like to recommend season 2 of the Amazon show, The Boys, the superhero satire. It's very good, and you know who shows up? The first 3 episodes are available on Amazon right now. You know who's in all 3 of them? Langston Kerman.
Oh, I love Langston.
Yeah, he's got he's got a sizable small role. He's important to the plot. So it was very cool to see him pop up in there. So The Boys on Amazon, you can check it out. And for my local business, I've got to give it up once again, for Harris Teeter, the local grocery store down the street from me. It's great. Harris Teeter, low prices. It's also in a basement, so low ceilings. Are you ready, Kathleen? Was that enough stalling for you?
Sure,
or
that was
can I-
enough
okay,
stalling.
Good. I tried to
I
drag it
think
out as long as I could.
So I've been listening to this podcast, which is a mix between hospitality and comedy. It's called the Sidework Podcast. It's on the Last Podcast Network. Brooke Van Poplin, who's a comedian, runs it with one of her friends. And they do, it's funny. It is comedy. It's funny. I think it's very enjoyable, so I'd recommend that. And there's no dudes on it, Eli, so
Nice.
Oh no, what am I gonna tell the boys?
Nice.
And as far as a local business, oh my God, there's so many. You know what? Before the season's up, you better hit up Erickson's Ice Cream.
What is that?
It's an ice cream place it's right over the border of Maynard, Massachusetts. It's a little bit of a drive from here.
Okay.
Childhood place, great mint chip ice cream, but they're only open for the season, so only a few more weeks before they close up.
And have you visited it this season?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Hell yeah.
Good.
Actually, I've been, touring local creameries in my.
Oh, yeah? They're called creameries?
You
Yeah.
never heard of a
I
creamery?
guess, no, it's true. Like Cold Stone. You guys ever eat at Cold Stone?
Cold Stone is a little
Yeah.
too much.
Yeah.
They like put it on the marble and then they put all the
Whack it.
shit in it.
Yeah.
They act like they're
Chop, chop,
blacksmiths
chop, and,
making
like,
ice
scoop it
cream.
up and, yeah.
They're trying to be like the I can't
Benihana.
think.
Hibachi chefs?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
hibachi
yeah.
shop of ice cream.
Have you guys seen those videos online of like the guy at the ice cream stand who's like always pranking his customers? Like he'll give you the cone, then he'll pull it away.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it'll be-
Yeah.
I would like to try that and see how I fare. It seems so.
How much
tantalizing.
product
I
do
just
you
wanna
waste?
grab all the cones and be like, I got them. Can't trick me.
I would do that. I support that. You should do that. You should try.
Thank you for your vote of confidence, Kathleen. I appreciate it. All right, Eli, take us home.
Okay, for my comedy recommendation, I recommend watching Hell's Kitchen because it is hilarious watching Gordon Ramsay diabolically fuck with these people's minds. It is.
Why, Eli? Why do you like watching this kind of filth?
Hey, they sign up for the show.
It's the same reason I watch my 600-pound life. It makes you feel better about yourself.
Unlike Kitchen Nightmare, pretty much every chef competing in Hell's Kitchen sucks as a person. So you're just rooting for Gordon.
That's fair.
All right.
Also, Venture Brothers just announced that they're canceled. So I would go back and watch all of Venture Brothers. It's a fantastic show.
I've been hearing for years and years that
it's an incredible show.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like groundbreaking for Adult Swim, just as Rick and Morty was before Rick and Morty.
Okay.
It was like their groundbreaking show.
Okay.
And then for my local business, I recommend Coriano's in Austin. It is Korean fried chicken infusion. They are delicious. Korean fried chicken is fantastic.
It is. It's very good.
They also
you ever had banchan?
I love banchan.
Yeah. You don't like banchan?
I've never been to a banchan.
Oh, okay. It's good.
It's good.
There's one in Harvard.
Korean fried chicken is so good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it. Kathleen, where can our listeners find you in the podcast?
You know, the Gimme is everywhere that you get podcasts. I sound like this is like my pitch. Like Apple.
This is the time. It's the plugs.
Apple, Google, Spotify, hopefully Pandora by now. Do people still use Pandora? I don't know. Stitcher. You know,
Stitcher. Love Stitcher.
All over the place. Or they can find us on Instagram at the Gimme Pod, where I post little video clips and funny questions.
Great. Well, Kathleen, thanks for joining us. It's nice to catch up with you.
Thank you,
Congrats
Danny.
on your goals.
Thank you, Eli. Thank you, Rick.
I'll see you on the Discord, Kathleen.
Oh yeah, that Discord. Yep.
I saw you call people out on there earlier a couple days ago.
Oh yeah, I got really mad
because nobody was
playing.
Because
I feel like nobody is on it anymore. Anyway, that's a conversation for another day.
I'll see you back on there.
All right, guys. Thanks so much. Everyone stay safe. Bye.
All right. So long.
Ooh, pizza's here.